Welcome back, friends. Right now, we're going to talk about transition words. This is something we discussed before when we read Henry and Mudge and we retold our story, sequencing the events. Now we're going to apply this to our writing of our personal narrative. Authors use transition words to move time. We can revise our directions in our writing to include transition words. We are going to go part by part in our personal narrative today to see if we can add in some transition words. So the first thing we're going to look at is beginning transition words. Beginning transition words include words such as first, initially, to start with, or to begin. Each of these means very similar. So we're going to pick the one that we like the best to add into our writing. So I'm going to either pick first or to begin. And I'm going to go back to my beginning and reread. Imagine this: sun shining, waves crashing, kids making sandcastles. I was so excited to go to the beach. It had been raining for 2 days, so we were ready to get out and have some fun. My best friend Kathy was coming with Mom and me. We love to rent floats and ride the waves. So I'm not finding a great place to add in one of my words. So we're going to take a look at the middle. As we were walking down the beach, we saw some kids holding something, so we walked over to see what was going on. Now, friends, this looks like the perfect place to add the word first. So I'm going to come right before my first word here and add in what we call a caret. And it looks like an upside down V. So I'm going to write first, because this was the first thing we did. And this will tell my reader that this is where we begin. Now, it does not make sense to say first. As we were walking down the beach, we saw some kids holding something, so we walked over to see what was going on. So I'm going to get rid of as. So now it'll read first. We were walking down the beach. We saw some kids holding something, so we walked over to see what was going on. So I want you to push pause, and you're going to go back in your writing just like I did and see if you can find a good place to add in your beginning transition words. And remember, you can make a caret and add your word in and see if you need to X out a word or if everything sounds okay for now. When you're ready, you can come back and push play. All right, my friends, so we looked at our beginning transition words. We're now going to move on to our middle transition words. And just like this stoplight, this is our middle section. We used a few of these words when retelling Henry and Mudge. Today we're going to go back in our writing and see if we can add in any middle transition words such as next, then, later, after, meanwhile, also, immediately, which means right now, or simultaneously, which means at the same time. So I'm going to go back to my middle section. Now remember, we had added in first right here. I'm going to continue reading and see what else I can add in as a middle transition word. So I'm going to continue on. A little boy had a live starfish. He was touching the legs of the starfish and dancing it around. I felt bad for it and wanted him to stop. So did Kathy. She said, "You need to put that starfish down so it won't get hurt." The little boy didn't want to listen. He kept playing with the poor starfish. It was then that I had a plan. Right here, "it was then" is a good transition word. Words. I asked him if I could hold the fish. Ooh, right here I can say, "Then," there's my carrot, "then he handed it to me." Notice, I apologize for my messy writing on this, but we're just kind of adding it in. And I carefully held it in my hands. After that, I explained that I thought the starfish was crying for its mother, and we needed to let him go. So here you can see, friends, I added in 2 set of middle transitions, and this allowed me to help the reader sequence what was happening in their story. So let's take a look back. I want you to now carefully go through and read your middle just like I did, and see if you can add in any of these transition words for the middle. So you're going to push pause and do just that. See if you can add in 1 or 2 of those transition words, and then you can come back and push play and we'll look at the end of our writing. Welcome back, friends. We're now moving on to our end transition words, just like our stoplight. This is where we end. Our end transition words include finally, at last, in the end, and last. You'll notice, just like the beginning transition words, our end transition words all mean similar things. So we're just going to use one of them when we go back to our end. So when I look at my end, it says, "After a minute, he agreed with me. So I walked further out into the ocean and let the starfish go. It made me feel good to help something that couldn't help itself. Then Kathy and I rented our floats and had the best day at the beach ever." So I'm going to stop right there. And I use the transition word "then," but I'm actually going to add in a carrot and change it to the word "finally," so that it reads, "Finally," because this is the end, "Kathy and I rented our floats and had the best day ever." That signifies, my reader, that yay, I came to the end of my story. So I'm going to bring us back to our screen, and you can now push pause and add in your end transition words. When you are finished doing that, my friends, I would like you to go back and reread your whole story, yes, yet again, and see if you were able to move time by adding your transition words like an author does. Great job with using transition words today, my friends. I will see you soon.